let's talk about the health snack segment in India. This is a very, very interesting segment that I think is on the verge of a big inflection point. I think it's going to be a huge market over the next 5 7 years. And what I want to do is just talk about why do I think this market is pretty huge, and specifically I'm talking about healthy snacks, and not the healthy food industry, which itself is pretty big, but I don't think that's where a lot of interesting opportunities are. Healthy snacks is where a lot of interesting opportunities are. The first thing that we need to understand, and again we've spoken about this in the food processing episode, is there's a huge growth in food processing and the demand for processed food because of lifestyle changes, right? We are working a lot more. Both the husband and wife, both the family members are working. Therefore the demand for processed food is going to increase. If you look at it from the overall consumption of the agricultural produce that we then convert to processed food, it stands at 10%. In the US it stands at 40 50%, right? Basically, any developed country that you look are processing a lot more of their agricultural produce compared to India. And this sort of goes back to the female sort of labor participation. I know it's dwindling. I'm still hopeful that this goes back up and both the couple are actually working and contributing to the economy. And if that happens, the need for processed foods is going to increase. The need for processed foods, I think, is going to increase. Within that, I think you can think of it as two different parts, right? There's one, the actual meals that we consume, the breakfast, lunch, dinners, and then the snacks that we consume. I think the obsession that India has with freshly cooked food, because a lot of, regardless of social strata, we've always had freshly cooked food through either food vendors or your families who are helping you, your mothers and wives that are taking care of the household, and making sure everybody gets fresh cooked food. I think that obsession is not going to go out anytime soon. It's probably going to get replaced by the Swiggies and the cloud kitchens and the Zomatos and more interesting ideas there. But this is not where packaged food is going to come in. Like in the US, you can actually buy, there's so much ready to eat stuff. There's so much stuff that you can just pour like hot water and it's ready to be eaten like a proper meal. I don't think that happens in India. What happens in India, I think, is the snack segment is going to grow. That's where it's very difficult to get freshly sort of made snacks. But the snack industry itself is pretty huge. And the third element to this is post COVID, this whole obsession with health, this whole awareness with eating healthy and being fit. And if you look at Gen Z and the impact of social media and the impact of everybody being on Instagram, everybody wanting to look good, I think all of that is going to trickle down to the need for healthy foods, and the preferences are going to change. And a bunch of reports that are out there sort of confirm this. There's a report by Avendus Capital that talks about how the healthy food segment in India is going to be a $30 billion industry by 2025 2026. The food processing industry in India is supposed to grow to $500 billion market in the next 5 6 years, and 10% of that food, today at least, is 10% of the food that is processed is in the health food category in India, versus in the US and other Western countries, it's between 30 to 40%. So
Wow.
while the kind of healthy foods that we're going to eat are not going to be same as US, but the preference to move towards healthy foods, I think that's going to remain and that's going to keep increasing. So these are some
Can
reasons
I
why I think, yeah.
so can I just give an example of like my family, like me and my wife, right? Because I think what you kind of describes me and my wife perfectly, where my we're both very obsessed with health and fitness. We work out every day. We are very obsessed with it. My wife is very obsessed with the kind of food that we eat. So like, and that's like you said, it's freshly cooked food. Sometimes we have momos that are frozen, but most of the time it's like very fresh, very healthy food. But at the same time, if you come to our house, you won't find a single unhealthy snack. There won't be like a chocolate hidden away somewhere. There won't be anything like that. The only thing that you'll find in our house are healthy ice cream, which I'm assuming you're going to talk about. You'll find healthy makhana chips, pop chips, like all that kind of like high protein chips, like all that kind of stuff is what you will find at our house. I think we are the exact target audience that this segment healthy snacks is focusing towards.
100%. And if you add that element of the D2C, e-commerce proliferation that's happened, where you don't really need to go out and find these brands here and there
Yeah.
and get them home. You're literally sitting at home on your, on your phone. You're literally ordering this whenever you want, right? So I think that's given a big push to these new native brands that have come up in this healthy snack category. And that brings me to an important point, right? When I was doing the research on this, okay, the industry preferences are moving. These are, whatever said and done, these are FMCG goods, and there have been giant companies that have been built in the FMCG segment, in India. Why do I think there will be new opportunities, right? Why will a ITC or an Adani Wilmar or Godrej not just capture this opportunity? I think the reason is pretty simple. I think there's this famous sort of framework that was developed by, I think, Clay Christensen, or I might get the name wrong. But how they talk about when the industry is mature, there are small little segments that pop up that are too small for the large companies to focus on, and that's where newer startups and newer companies come in and try and attack that market. And with time, that segment keeps growing bigger, and so do these companies. I think we are seeing that exact play happen here. And the other thing that I think why these large companies are not going to be able to switch and pivot that easily is because they have a sort of brand image that's already out there, right? I can't imagine a Frito-Lay, Pepsi coming up with like a healthy chips, because I know what kind of chips they've made already, the Lays, and how unhealthy they are, right? So there's a certain brand image that's attached to it, which is easier for a new brand to come and establish as a, which is and that's why it's easier for a new brand to come in and establish themselves as a healthy snack or a healthy food company.
So I just want to add one thing over here is that the strategy that you're talking about, there's a really good book called Seven Powers by an author called Hamilton Helmer. And in that, he talks about these 7 different strategies that you can take, 7 powers that you have. And one of those powers is called counter positioning. And that's exactly what you're talking about, where these healthy snacks are counter positioned against the other kind of snacks that are there. And that is a power that the existing brands cannot fight very easily, and therefore they have a power in their strategy.
So we've established why this is going to be a big segment, why this is a growing segment, why this is going to be a big segment. We've established why newer opportunities are going to come in. I just want to spend like a minute or two to talk about what the government is doing on this. I don't know if people have listened to our food processing episode, but the government's focus on food processing has been crazy since this new government came in 2014. I've actually been to a couple of these large food processing fairs or exhibitions that happen in India, in Delhi. These are huge, and the number of companies that are coming in and actually promoting what they're doing, and the investments that are coming into this space are quite a lot. There have been, I think, when the government came in 2014, there were 2 mega food parks in the country. In August 2021, there were 22 mega food parks in the country that were functioning, and this is going to go up to 40 in the next year or two. So these are mega food parks. What that basically means is the entire value chain, from raw materials and harvesting to the raw materials, to processing, to final processing, packaging. All of these things are in one place, and hence it's easy to manufacture these goods. So a huge sort of push in the food processing industry, and there's 100% FDI that's allowed in the automatic route. It's important to understand the difference between automatic route and approval route. Automatic is you don't need to get any approvals from the Indian government, and that is significantly better experience than getting approvals from the Indian government, right? So
what are you saying? Working with the Indian government is so easy, and there's no effort in it at all.
yeah, it's only if the food products and I'm not even going to respond to that sarcastic comment, because everybody knows the fun that is working with the Indian government. Okay, the only thing that is under the approval route in FDI is the food products that are manufactured and produced that are going to be sold purely through e-commerce. I think there is an approval route there. I will link an article if people who are really interested can go and figure out what are the differences. I'm not going to go spend too much time on that.